Hey D&D fam, I'm Quick.
And I'm Lee, and you're listening to
Divas and Ducats. So what is a diva? I think divas get a bad rep, but to me, diva is all about the attitude.
As for ducats, it's your finances, your assets, Skrilla, guap, your coin. We're talking all things with the potential to affect your pockets.
And while we're attorneys by trade, we are divas by choice. Divas and Ducats is for edutainment purposes.
Y'all, we are not Series 511 or 703 professionals. This does not create a financial advisor or attorney-client relationship. The views expressed here are solely our opinions and the opinions of our guests.
It's just our opinions, y'all. Okay, divas, let's talk ducats.
Welcome back, D&D fam. It is February. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, welcome back. And for those in North Carolina, just hang in there, because I don't know what all this winter weather we're getting.
Like a real winter.
Right. Yeah. But, and by winter, real winter, we do mean we're actually getting snow that sticks.
Yeah.
Ice. Yeah,
I'm
sure the Northerners are still laughing at us, but it's whatever.
Care.
We're here. We're cold.
It is what it is. So for you, those of you who are watching, make sure you click subscribe below so you get updates on when we have new videos, material. And so what are we getting into today?
We are getting into a topic that I have been looking forward to for a very, very long time. We've talked about it. We just didn't know when to fit it in, but it is one that I really cannot wait to hear about. We're going to be talking about business and bay, mixing love and
moolah, them ducats.
Right, because we have so many examples of when it's done wrong. So we wanted to bring in somebody that is doing it right, a couple that is doing it right. And the hashtags are flowing around with generational wealth and
secure the
bag, right? Generational wealth and leveling up, but what happens when you actually get a partner that can really, truly make you do those things?
Because I'm about to sound like you. My daddy said you can do more with two than one.
That's right.
Just putting it out there. You really can. All right. So let's talk about, before we get into it and introduce our guest, who is our sponsor?
We have a sponsor, Wood & Bowers. And guys, they are a local firm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they are a personal injury firm. They also do real estate. And, accidents happen everywhere.
They do.
And so if you've been injured on the job, you have motor vehicle accidents, or even someone else's property, you can contact Wood & Bowers. And we will have their information below in the episode, in the show notes. And they can be reached at 704-665-5838, or their website is wbvlaw.com, and we are very excited to have that sponsor. And if you are interested in being a sponsor on Divas and Ducats, you can definitely reach out to us.
Hit us up.
Where can they reach out to us?
DivaAdvice@gmail.com.
That's right. So we would love for you to also be a sponsor. And again, that is Wood & Bowers, and they are at wbvlaw.com.
Okay, so let's get into it. So who do we have here today?
We have someone that is near and dear to my heart, Mrs. Rasheda Sanders. Say hey, right, of the illustrious sorority of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And her husband, Mr. Mark Sanders. Say hello. That's right, of the Ice Cold Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha. And so we are very excited to have you guys on to talk about business and bay. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and kind of tell us, before we get into what you do, just kind of tell us who you are and how long you guys have been married.
Okay, well, I will start first. My name is Rasheda Sanders. I am from the Raleigh-Durham area. Been in North Carolina all my life. I attended North Carolina Central University.
Eagle Pride.
Eagle Pride. That's where we met. We were both English majors, and after attending North Carolina Central University, I went to law school. And while I was in law school, he decided to kind of lock me down.
Okay.
So we ended up getting engaged. So I moved back. We got married in 2004. and we live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am the owner and managing partner of the Sanders law firm.
I know, that's right.
Anyway,
and we'll have your information in the show notes below as well.
Right. Thank you. And, you know, we are happily married. We just celebrated our 17th anniversary.
Yes.
And we have a daughter named Mackenzie.
Yes.
She's almost 13 years old. And then Mark Jr., who lives in Colorado. He was in the military, but now he's a military spouse.
All right.
And over to you.
So hello everyone.
Hey.
I'm Mark Sanders. All right. Native Charlottean.
Yes, 704.
Born and raised. A few of us are still here.
I'm telling you.
Again, went to North Carolina Central University, where we met. Decided to come back to Charlotte. I enjoyed a career in human resources for about, it sounds funny to say it, 20 years. And kind of worked my way through, matriculated through HR, and we decided that we wanted to do some things on our own. So we were already supporting the Sanders law firm, and that's kind of where things really got interesting for us. I'll say it like that.
Right.
Okay. All right. So we know how long you've been married. How long were you married before you went into business together? Like where did that kind of union come in?
Well, one of the things, as Mark stated, he had a career in human resources. He was actually a director of human resources at a higher university. And one of the things, I was trained to be a lawyer. I actually have my master's of law in alternative dispute resolution. But although I was trained to be a lawyer, I was kind of finding it difficult to navigate actually practicing law while managing a business. So I would reach out to Mark a whole lot. Having a history in human resources, you know, he would make sure that that everything was set up, my policies and procedures. I didn't have time to do all of that. So he started that with the Sanders law firm to make sure I got everything established there. And then there was an opportunity when we were looking to grow and expand, and opportunities presented themselves where we were able to branch out into other areas. And then he was able to actually leave his position as a director of human resources and actually work for our companies. We have two companies, Iron Gate Investment Group and Manchester Community Partners. Both of those companies, both of those entities, they are based off of where I grew up and where he grew up. And one of the things that our parents instilled in us is to make sure we always know, not if we make it, when we make it, to make sure we came back and we helped out those around us. So we wanted to one of our focus is community oriented. We want to make sure that we focus on helping and empowering our community, and then all other things will be added from that. So that's a kind of a short synopsis of how we ended up merging our two professional careers.
Okay. And so so those two groups that you mentioned that you do, like what do those groups do, or what is the focus in terms of the community, or what does that look like?
We do?
Yeah.
So from the Iron Gate Investment Group, that's the parent company for our Child Care Development Center, Justice Kids Academy. So we have a twofold kind of a thought here. One from the standpoint of children and education, and the other from the standpoint of community engagement. One will uphold the threshold and the pathway for us to do more from a business, for-profit type of entity in the child care industry, and the other would allow us to do more philanthropic type of ventures where we're looking into doing real estate, possibly some lower income housing, things of that nature. So those are the kind of two avenues that we can still do some things from the community standpoint, do some things philanthropically, and still have business to support those type ventures.
Right. Yeah. And if one thing people need, it's gonna be childcare. So.
Right, always. And do y'all still have the dry cleaners, or is it a laundromat, or? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's a part of Manchester Community Partners. We're on the. I don't. You guys are in Charlotte?
Yes.
Okay, so you're familiar with West Boulevard.
Yeah.
So we're on the west side of Charlotte. And that's kind of been our focus. I'm from the west side of Charlotte. I grew up in Clinton Park.
Okay.
So I'm right back on the west side, and we're trying to bring more business, more commerce, things that haven't been on the west side very much. Try to bring it to the area. So having said that, now, so we do have the laundromat that's on West Boulevard, and now we have acquired another property where we will have the standalone law firm also on West.
Okay, awesome.
That's
so
awesome.
awesome. And what is the name of the laundromat?
Keep it clean. Keep it clean laundromat.
Okay, now.
That is really cool. And so how did you guys come up with, I know, you understood the purpose behind the businesses that you wanted to do, but how did you specifically choose those two businesses as a way to fulfill the purposes?
Well, one of the things, again, like I talked about my mom, she always told me to make sure I stayed in my community. Manchester Community Partners, it's right around the corner from West Boulevard. That's where Mark grew up. Our church is St. Mark's United Methodist Church, which is also on Clinton Road. So I always had a burning desire to actually have something on West Boulevard. West Boulevard, it turns to East Boulevard. And then it's kind of like when you cross over South Boulevard, it's a different world.
Right.
Our line sister, City Councilman Victoria Watlington, she actually was very instrumental in getting me acclimated to the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition. And that's a group of business owners that are invested in the West Boulevard corridor. So when Mark and I began to become active in that particular commission, we noticed that although there are a lot of businesses on West Boulevard, there's not a lot of businesses that are invested in the community.
Right.
There are a lot of non-Black business owners who come in and take away from the community, but they don't pour into the community.
Right.
So, on East Boulevard, as soon as you cross over South Boulevard, it's like Attorney's Row. There's attorney's office after attorney's office after attorney's office. But when you're on West Boulevard, all you get is corner stores, check cashing, things like that. So when we initially acquired the laundromat, we were actually looking, because again, I was invested in making sure that the kids in the neighborhood, they were able to see something different on West Boulevard. But then when we looked at the laundromat, that's also an important function of the community.
Right.
People need to, things that some people might take for granted. We're blessed to have a washer and dryer right in our house, but a lot of people in our community don't have that luxury. So one of the things we wanted them to be able to have something that they can take pride in their neighborhood. So it's called Keep It Clean. If you come in, it is immaculate. Our bathrooms, we have invested in new equipment. We want to invest in our community because our community deserves it. So we were one of the foremen in kind of making sure that we upgrade our own community. We don't need gentrification. We will invest in our community. So that was years ago. And again, now that it had always been a desire in my heart to open up a law firm on West Boulevard, because why not West Boulevard? If it's on East, why not West? So, and God just saw fit to open up that door 3 years later. But we're learning every day, and we learned that having a laundromat was a very important part of the community. So that's why not only do we make sure we invest in making sure that they have a clean atmosphere to come in and do their the things that we take for granted that we do every weekly. We also give back we've had back to school drives. We had a turkey giveaway. So we found out that the laundromat industry was also in keeping with our goal and our vision to invest in our community. So, it just worked out that way.
So, and speaking of goals, because this is just awesome that you're doing, all these things and you're doing it together. Talk to, what did some of those conversations look like, or what was some of the preparation as you all started to kind of come together and do business? Like, how did you all get ready to do that? Or what were some steps that maybe y'all took to make sure things were, I guess, kind of in place?
Yeah, Yeah, well, one of the things, again, like I said, it was, I was asking for help. Mark was kind of as a director of human resources. He was working 50, 60 hours a week, and then coming home and have to make sure that my policy and procedures were in place. Mm-hmm. So it got to a place where it was just kind of natural.
Okay.
That the natural, I guess, transition. Mm-hmm. But then also as we acquired different types of businesses, because when I was at North Carolina Central University, we were both English majors, but I've always had an affinity for children and teaching, and then going to law school and public interest law school, the University of District of Columbia, David A. Clark School of Law. It was very community focused, and hearing about a preschool to prison pipeline, we realized that we have to make an impact even earlier, even at the preschool age.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that's why it was a desire to kind of impact lives from there. But again, trained in law, I can teach, but the business aspect, I kind of turn all that over to him because that's what he's trained in. So It was kind of like natural. It was just natural. It just worked really well.
Okay.
So when we started off, I think it's important just for foundational purposes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Understanding when we first started off, we made an agreement amongst each other as newlyweds that we would live below our means. Mm-hmm. So later on, it afforded us the opportunity to make some moves. So the example is being in a relationship, a marital relationship. When we went into business, I mean, you're bringing all the funds back to one place, right? You don't have a business partner that's taking it somewhere else. Right. Everything's coming back to one home. So what we decided was that in the beginning of our relationship, and we actually did it for probably the first 12 years.
Okay.
I would pay the household utilities and bills. She would take her money and put everything in the savings.
Okay.
She was 100% diligent about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once we got to a point, 10 years down the road, we had already put up enough money to where we were flexible. Mm-hmm. We had the flexibility and the fluidity to start to make some of those moves. So it's always good to, in theory, say, yeah, I'll go into business with my wife and this, that, and the other.
Right.
You'll end up having issues because you haven't planned and taken the proper steps to put yourself in a place where you don't have these money arguments and this and that going here. We set it up to where we had the flexibility to make moves and it wouldn't hurt us in some of the things we had already done. So that's really important.
Yeah.
From my standpoint anyway.
Let the church say amen. We can close this set.
So, and that, I mean, it's so important that he mentioned that because I think, of course, with you being an attorney, you assume like, okay, she already had the, let's file the LLC, let's do I'm sure they already had, who's going to do that. And you've both spoken to kind of where your strengths were. So, Mark kind of already had we're going to make sure our procedures, our handbooks, everything's in place there. And so, but a lot of times, as you said, people talk about business at bay and they talk about the negative. You see people's money being a little funny, or one of the number one reasons for divorce is money. And
not being on the same page.
That part.
Yeah.
So it really brings me to when you said, you had that plan and you prepared for years to make sure that you were in a good place and able to move. So what is that line of, because you are married, so you're, what is that line of separation for you all in terms of kind of separating the two, right? So if you have a disagreement business-wise, how do you all keep that from bleeding over into husband and wife?
So I'll give you an example. We just had a disagreement yesterday.
Okay.
It happens, okay? It happens.
Right.
Very practical. I'll give you a very practical example. I want to put a fence up on one of our properties.
Okay.
I want to enclose the property with the gate. Now it's going to cost some thousands of dollars, and my wife is saying, Mark, that's probably not a good expenditure right now. And I'm like, no, it's a good expenditure. People walking in our property. I want to close our property off. I'm going to spend this money. She's like, well, wait a minute. Just think about it for a second. We put a gate up right now. I mean, how inviting is it? She started giving me some other things. So I relented, because I was a little emotional about people coming on my property.
Right.
But you're going to have those discussions. You're going to have little disagreements. I think the biggest thing is you have to understand that this is your spouse.
You're on the same team.
Right? It's your spouse. So it's a certain level of respect that goes with this regardless. So yeah, we have disagreements, but I understand that we're on the same path. So if she tells me, hold on, just think about it for a second. Just think about it. Right. She's not telling me, no, you can't do it. She's just like, just take time and breathe and let's get everything on the table. That's the most important thing. Just talk. It's not a silver bullet. We're not on here like Dr. Phil and got to say, you have to talk those things out. And eventually one person has to say, okay, I get it. Let's move forward. And if you have to agree to disagree, then that's where it is. And then you go on about your business after that. You don't take that to your marital bedroom or to your dinner or wherever else. You leave it there. Because business, you cannot let that interfere in your marriage.
Yeah. Do you all have, because Quick and I know in a previous episode a couple months ago, we talked about like how, because we're friends, my girl, but we also, Divas and Ducats is a business, right? And so we talked about like we actually have business meetings where we sit and talk through some of the things that we're trying to do. Do you all as business partners, do you all have meetings or kind of have some kind of demarcation there to stay organized?
Yes. So as you see, he's shying away. He's shying away. And that's one of the things that I impress upon Mark. A lot of times when we're dealing with, we are truly blessed. We're dealing with corporations here and money.
Right.
So I tell him that, we have to sit down and treat this as a business. We need to have business meetings. I need to get you to sit down and let's talk about some things. So it's so hard because also as business owners, we're also, one of the things, we are very humble people.
Right.
We clean up, we talk to clients. So we go from the, we do it all. We don't do anything we wouldn't expect someone else to do. So one of the things, just trying to find a balance in freeing up our time. Mark is a worker bee. He is going to work his fingers to the bone, even if it means staying out, if he has to be somewhere late at night, he's going to be there. And actually, when he was kind of doing some work at our law firm, he was, there trying to get it up and running. And I think people kind of saw and, but at any rate, you have to find a balance and we have to kind of be strategic as to what we spend our time on.
Right.
And one of the things we're trying to get on the same page when it comes to that's an area that we have some room for growth. Because we're just kind of very fluid, but since we have to sit down and make sure that we have a meeting of the minds and that we're on the same page. So even though things have been great, as far as having business with Bay, there's always challenges.
Right.
And, so it doesn't necessarily look the way that I thought it would look because we're very different. When you talked about how do you handle disagreements, I learned one thing in our marriage, you can't argue by yourself. So if I'm, let's go, he's like, okay, you win, goodbye. And I'm like, wait a minute, I want to argue. So he is a really, really good balance for me. And, some of those downfalls that some people might experience, luckily we don't experience them, but we have to kind of find a middle ground because it is very important to have some of those tough conversations and you have to have your business in order. So that is very important. Even though we're married, we love each other, we have fun.
Yeah, do.
There's a time that we have to talk about business.
Yeah. That's awesome. And didn't mean to call you to the red table, Mark. I apologize. So speaking of like having your business in order, I know, again, Quick and I, we talked about, for example, prenups, because that's a contract. It's an agreement, right? So did you all, I'm sure, Mark, with the policies and procedures, did you all draft up any agreements in terms of just your roles, the responsibilities, who does what, or even like if we decide to dissolve things? Did you all keep it that formal, or is that not something that you all kind of were concerned yourselves with?
Well, and this will go back to foundational before we got married and when we talked about what marriage would look like for us.
Right.
And not that what worked for us is that we started a partnership before, when we got married. Okay. The way we set up our accounts, our money went into an account. We had a bill account, a mortgage account. We had Mad Money account, which we do, we could do what we wanted to. But one of the things we were clear on is that we will pool our money and then it would be, allocated that way. So it's kind of the same way with business. We did that for 12 years and it worked fine. So okay. We just carried that over into our businesses. We're not as concerned about each other as we are with the outside world. Right. So we want to make sure our assets are protected from other people, but right. we trust each other and we have each other's back. So that's one thing that we're clear on, that even from the beginning, we were going to be 50-50 partners. So again, when we first got married and, he actually brought this to my attention. I was actually working at a large law firm in Washington, D.C. I was making a ton of money. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, let's ball out. Let's go. Right. And he was like, nah, I want to make sure that I'm able to do X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. He was like, just in case you want to, if you get pregnant, you don't want to work, you can stay home and we don't have to worry about bills. So that's where it kind of started, because we were on the same page as it pertaining to our finances. So we're all in. We were all in from the beginning and we're still all in now. So, and what we've been together, I was just telling Mark the other day, half of our lives, because we had a long engagement, but, and my birthday was our first date. So it's been what, 20, how many years? 23 years. 23 years, yeah. So, we were just talking the other day on my birthday, like we've actually been together half of our lives.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and we've had the same philosophy throughout.
That's awesome. And so, and I think it's interesting because y'all got together so long, college sweethearts, really. When you guys got together, did y'all always know, okay, we have a business, like obviously it seems like Mark kind of had a little bit more of one as he was splurging on them dollars. Hey. But did y'all always know eventually we want to go into business for ourselves? Like, was that part of the conversations?
So no, not necessarily. Okay. I think it happened by just over time, how you mature. You know how it is. You work, you're out in corporations, you're doing a thing, you're trying to climb up the scale, and after a while you figure out, wait a minute, I can do this myself. You look around and you look in the room and you're the smartest person in the room. Like, well, come on. I shouldn't say that. I'm not the smartest person in the room.
That. You might have absolutely say that.
Same time, you see that you're sharp. You understand that you can do it on your own, so you put away the time. We sacrificed for a very long time, and things began to happen for us in that way. So, it's been good. It's been very good for us. We've been blessed.
Yeah. We've been blessed. And can you talk about the aspect of trust? Because like when she was talking about the contract, she was like, I'm not worried about my husband. Like, I'm more so worried about the outside world. And I have heard like, specifically from married couples, and the wives, like when their husbands kind of go into businesses, they might not necessarily tell them all about the business. Or, I have know someone that their husband kind of goes into rental properties, and he just, I think my dad did this at some point in time, like he just bought the rental properties. Now, ultimately, it served the family well, and it's put my mom in a really great position. But I don't necessarily know that as he was going through the rental process, he was sitting down with my mom like, hey, what do you think about this property, or having that wife have any input, insight on it. And I don't necessarily know if it's so much as I don't trust their judgment, or if it's I'm the man and this is just how it's going to be. Like, do y'all had any of those kind of issues at all?
So, no. And we have a good example on that. It actually didn't happen too long ago. Oh, yeah. I was looking at rental properties, and just a part of being a partner, understanding that whether we have $1 billion or $1,000, it's hers as well as it is mine. So if I'm gonna make a move, I want you to know about it. And kind of the conversation was, hey, babe, look at these foreclosures. She's like, wait a minute, if it's that much, you know what I'm saying? Look. You ain't got to tell me. You should, you got a certain threshold. You can make good judgment. Do what you have to do. So that that gives me the good feeling that, okay, she trusts me to make a decision within a certain threshold. Right. She knows where the finances are. Right. So that was the conversation we had. So going forward, I know if I see something, go ahead and make it happen.
Right.
And that was that simple. Just having just a quick conversation about it, and be able to move forward.
Yeah. So, and just hearing that, and like you said, you all kind of matured and grew into it. Like, what would be your advice for couples who are looking to blend, love and finances? Or would you advise, because you all said, you formed it as newlyweds, your partnerships. Would you advise that before that stage, or just what is kind of your advice around that topic?
I think that it's a great thing. I think that more people that are committed to their relationship should be in business together, because that's what you're doing it for. This is your family, right? Mm-hmm. So if that you talk about going into an organization and that organization having a mission and a vision, well, what better mission and vision is it than the people that you marry? You know what I'm saying? You want to grow, you want to have a family, you want to be able to take care of your family and leave something for the future. So if that's our goal, then it's easy to work towards that. You just have to figure out what makes sense at what time for you. And we had that trust. That trust was established very early on, and understanding that because you are working every day, you do work hard. You do need some mad money. You do need to go shopping. You do need to feel the fruits of that. So you set it up that way. Don't act like it's not going to happen. Right. You know that you want to go shop. Right. So put some money in a mad money account. Make sure you feed that account. And when you want to go crazy, go crazy, because we got it taken care of. We're not hurting ourselves other places. So just having that conversation, and man, this is the best thing ever, because I trust her 100%.
I love her.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is nothing. I trust her 100%. I can't have a better business partner. That's 50% of what she makes. She bringing it home anyway. So, you know what I'm saying? It's great.
Right. Win-win.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. So what would y'all find? I don't know. I mean, it seems obviously there's a lot of time establishing this and building the relationship first. But what would you say that you find difficult? I know you kind of spoke to like being able to get to some business meetings, and you kind of being the more feisty person in the marriage, maybe not necessarily the business relationship, but definitely in the marriage. Like, do y'all feel like y'all had any difficulties in melding the businesses, or as you were building the businesses?
I can take that. I do, because it's still a work in progress. There are things that, we still have conversations about. I feel like sometimes it's on 100%, when we're at home, we're talking about it. So just making sure that we find some boundaries. Yeah. Like a lot of times, just dating one another, just making sure that we have some time for us is kind of hard. One thing about full-time entrepreneurship is can't go anywhere, because we got to take care of business. So that's hard for me, because I want to enjoy the fruits of our labor. Right. So it's, I can't go 1,000 times. So it was a while where I was like, okay, well, you can't go, I can't go. Now is I can't go, bye, we'll see you later. Like, wait a minute, y'all just gonna go without me? Yes, we're gonna go without you, because I'm asking you to make some time and you don't. So today, it's funny that we talked about that today. I sent him a text. Here are some proposals for the summer. Look, you either let me know what you want to do or you don't. But this is what I plan on doing. So it was kind of like I said, it's not always peaches and cream. I asked him, are you gonna ever take me to lunch? Or are you gonna, can we go to a movie since we have this flexible schedule? But he, no, baby, we got to do this, got to do that. So that's the kind of trying to find balances and managing expectations, because I'm thinking that because we do have flexible schedules, we'll be able to do more. We'll be able to sit down at dinner, but no, it's not quite working that way. So just managing expectations and working through it. Being clear, kind of communicating and letting, it took me a while to get to that point, but I kind of let them know he goes 1,000 miles per hour. So he'll say, "You never said me. You never said that." I sent you right here.
Per my text.
Per my email. Right? So they're still, just kind of making sure that we make time for one another. Just kind of dealing with male and female dynamic. I'm more emotional. He's, kind of more strategic and things like that. So kind of finding that match.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily obviously an episode about parenthood, but you did mention having a daughter. And when you said she was 13, I was like, oh my God, I remember when she was like this small.
Exactly.
We've known each other a while.
Right.
How has that played into like being business partners? Like, did either one of y'all have like parent guilt? Have y'all found resources to kind of help out? Because I think a lot of times, especially in our community, it doesn't seem to happen very much in most other communities, but our community, we feel that we have to be all and do all, right? Like, oh, nobody could come in and clean my house. No one could come in and take care of my child. That's my role, Like, so have y'all had any resources pull in, or do y'all still manage to just do it all? Because these are not some small businesses, right? Like, y'all got employees, and how do y'all work around that?
Yeah, she stopped paying the house years ago. We got a housekeeper years ago. Yeah.
Good for you.
But as far as our daughter is concerned, I enjoy having the opportunities to drop her off and pick her up from school and things of that nature. And I know it takes a lot off her plate when I do it now.
Yeah.
She likes to do it too, and she'll jump in there. It's just a selfless thing. We just you just get in and you just make it happen. And I think that I understand what she's saying, because a lot of times I'll go, and I'll forget that it's some nurturing that needs to go on. It's some things that need to go on. So, but I recognize that, and you try to work on it as much as possible, and you'll get there. I think that it's like I said, nothing is perfect,
right?
But it's not so bad that you can't understand and work through it, because you see that person is working. You see the effort.
Right.
You see what's going on.
They're trying.
It's kind of hard to grind on somebody when you see they really putting in work and they're not out here doing some craziness. You know what I'm saying?
And I was just going to add to that. One of the things, both of us, we were on the same page about legacy. When I went to law school, my nephew, he would just be with me all the time. And I told him, I never forget when I was in a torts class, I told him, he came to class with me one day, and I told him, if you go to law school, I promise you will have a job. So guess what? He called me on it. He went to law school. He went to UNC School of Law, but now he's actually running for district court judge in Wake County, Adrian Prince for judge. But so he didn't need to take me up on that offer.
That's
so
awesome.
It's kind of like one of the things we're telling Mackenzie, and we've always told her since she was very little, legacy. This is what, we keep her involved, and goes to the daycare and helps out. She goes to the laundromat and will walk around and push the broom. She'll go, hammer nails and things. Yeah. So she knows we're instilling in her some invaluable things that, so even though we work, we take her with us, and she actually sees, and we let her look, this is for you. So even if she wants to dance, but well, if you don't want to do this, what do you want to do? So we try to incorporate what we're doing, and kind of, give her some invaluable information, because she's a little entrepreneur herself. One day she took some candy to school from the vending machine at the law firm and came home with like,
candy.
Dad, can I buy some more candy from you? So she has an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, I love that.
That's awesome.
Can you talk also, because we talk about ships all the time, specifically, I call them that, your ships are important, your relationships, who you surround yourself with. In your marriage, have y'all surrounded yourself with other like-minded marriages? Not necessarily just people that are married, but business, people that are also in business or have that kind of business mindset, some of that y'all can feed into and that can feed into you guys.
Yeah, sure. A lot of the people that we deal with, some of our closer friends, they are entrepreneurs. Of course, our fraternal and affiliations are going to undergird that,
right.
As well. So we're around quality people. And then, lately after the pandemic and everything, it's really just been about just making sure we maintain and keep things going. So you really haven't had time to interact with a whole lot of people lately, to be honest with
you. Yeah.
And that's one of the things, just I learned this very early in our marriage, just trying to do everything, trying to be a good wife, a good mother, making sure the hot meal was every day, making sure the house was clean. Sometimes you have to, one of the things that just honestly I've come to kind of be okay with, can you have it all? I don't know. So what I've had to learn how to do is let some of those things go. And while we're in the actual building phases of some of our relationships, they do suffer. I'm very intentional about, making sure I'm there for my friends and making sure that I'm kind of just a well-rounded person, because at the end of the day, after you've done so much, you just don't have a lot to give. So I'm very intentional, but I do know that we need to basically balance that a little better. That's one of the things that has suffered, because you're trying to have it all. And you only have 24 hours in a day. So something, trying to work out, trying to go to dinner with a friend, trying to do all of this, something suffers. So you kind of got to prioritize, but be aware that you're trying to integrate that back in, because they're all important.
Yeah, I get that. You good?
I am.
All hearts and minds clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we really appreciate you guys coming on, and giving your insight into, like I said, it's really good to see the positive side of when business in Bay works. And I really think it's honestly kind of mind-blowing that you guys did some of the things that y'all did so early on at such a younger age, and had those kind of conversations, because there are people in their 40s and 50s not having these conversations in the beginning of relationships. So to have that kind of maturity, and then to be able to see, like you said, the flexibility that it gives you now to be able to move the way you want to move now, it's kind of like what we've been honing and trying to kick into people. So to see a couple coming here and be like, oh yeah, we did what they're saying do,
walking
and it works,
right?
It's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah,
like real life example. So we really do appreciate you coming on and giving your perspectives and experience, and we wish you nothing but the best in your continued endeavors to bless the community off of West Boulevard, and however you choose to expand, wherever you choose to expand, because you are definitely, your underlying purpose is a blessed one, right? It's not just about making coins, because y'all are already doing that. Right. It was about blessing others and blessing the community and integrating that, and there's no way you can fail when that's your purpose.
You're doing it for the right reasons. Yeah.
So we really appreciate you guys, and you want to
thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. Do you want to? I think we're kind of running out of time, so you want to kind of tell them where to find us? And
so you can find us. Our website is www.divasandducats.com. We are on Facebook and Instagram under Divas and Ducats. You can email us at divaadvice@gmail.com.
Diva Advice.
DIVAADVICE.
And we will definitely have their businesses and their information in our show notes below, so you guys can go ahead and click out this episode and find that information. Please go check them out. If you are in Charlotte, North Carolina, go check out their laundromat. And I know they do a lot of even just drives, like allow people in the community from time to time come in and do free drives. Like they do so much for the community. They are not just talking the talk, they walk the walk, and they are very, very humble. I remember when I found out about the business, I was like, oh, so you're just not going to send out a blast. You know how you do when you got your sorority. You're not going to just send out a blast about everything. She's like, by the way, a laundromat. Y'all got a whole laundromat. So they are a very humble couple.
Y'all gonna keep it clean.
Right. So I really appreciate y'all. Please go, like I said, patronize them if you are in the Charlotte community. So in the meantime, in between time, Divas, have a great attitude, and we will see y'all next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.